Let's make a doll sheer dress. I teach old-fashioned sewing skills on my channel, and sometimes we make doll clothes as well. We are dressing a reproduction, so she's not original, but 1860s style porcelain doll. She's made off, as far as I remember, because I bought her like 10 years ago, made from an original mold. And so yeah, she's this adorable little porcelain doll. She has porcelain, her face, of course her arms and her legs. Everything else is a soft cloth body. We have been making her clothes, so I already had the chemise in the drawers. We made her corset on the channel. We also made her skirt support, so she has a hoop and a petticoat. But so now that she is mostly dressed out, we are going to go ahead and make her some clothes. So the optional undergarment that we did not make was a petticoat body, sometimes called today a corset cover. The terms are interchangeable in the period. You start seeing corset cover in the early 1860s. We're following in a late 1860s guide. It is the Household Book of Pleasure and Instruction, which was either 67 or 68, I believe. And it has a whole chapter on dressing dolls. We used the hoop directions the last time, and I have here a couple of things. So we're not going to just make a frock, we're going to make an apron as well. So I have a cotton sari. The plan was to make a sheer dress, which I didn't think would be a very big deal. Although apparently I have no sheer fabrics in my stash. I have either made them all up, or the scale is much too large for a doll, or they're the wrong time period. So I didn't have any other fabrics, but I have this old sari that I bought secondhand. It's already cut up, so someone cut up this side. This is not the edge. They also cut off the other side, just on the very end. It's also printed very incorrectly, or at least off grain. So I don't know if you see how wonky the pattern is at that very top. That's because it's printed wonky. So I guess no one wanted to use it for a sari, so it got sold. It got pieced a little bit or sold for parts, and then I ended up buying it. It has this very beautiful embroidered edge, which I thought about using for the skirt, but I think we're going to use instead this other end. But it is a semi-sheer to sheer cotton, and I feel like it's going to work very well for our doll pattern. And then because this is going to be a very quick and simple project, I wanted to add a little bit more to the video. We're going to make an apron to go over top of this dress. But we are going to follow the instructions for the Home Book of Pleasure and Instructions muslin dresses. So either for a sheer muslin, and their muslin is different than our muslin. Their muslin is going to be much more sheer, and it's going to be much more akin to today's soft organdy as opposed to what we would refer to as muslin today. So the instructions specifically, and I'll just read out the entire thing to you very quickly. It is for a dress of muslin or other light material. By far the simplest and prettiest way is to cut the whole in one piece, body and skirt, like figure 1. This plan requires no shaping, being made with a straight strip of material. For a white muslin dress, fold the piece, figure 1 and 4, and cut 2 straight slits for the armholes, nearly as long as the body of the frock. Run up the whole back of the frock and trim the skirt with a piece of imitation lace, and with 2 or 3 rows of narrow silk ribbon above it. Trim the armholes with the same lace, and this will generally be sufficient without sleeves, but a large doll might have short muslin sleeves stitched to the petticoat bodice underneath. The bodice must be trimmed at the neck with narrow ribbon or a piece of lace, and the dress fastened around the waist with a sash of the same ribbon. If it is to be taken off and on, a narrow hem must be made around the neck and a ribbon or bobbin run in to draw it up with. No dimensions are given, mostly because they don't know the size of our doll. And now comes the portion of the video that I really wish that these videos were live, because then I could get everyone's opinions, because I feel like y'all have such great ideas. But I have a green, it's like an olive green and a tan colored fabric, and I want to trim it with some silk ribbon. I'm thinking the blue is just going to be I like the pinks. I kind of like that purple a lot. Now the original sari, which is not original to the 19th century, it's just vintage, is trimmed with a bright orange, very similar to that color. I think these are going to be too light. Let's see here. I think that's too light. I have red somewhere, and I have darker oranges, but I don't know where they are. I think I'm leaning towards the purple, at least for this one. Because I'm also going to make a black... Oh, there's a light purple. Oh, there's like a lavender. That's pretty too. I'm going to make the black silk apron. I'm going to trim it with silk ribbon as well. So the question is, do I want the same silk ribbon, but I also want this apron to go with other dresses. So maybe I ought to do a blue for this. And it wouldn't really match this, but it would look good. Maybe we'll do that. Or I could do yellow. Ooh, yellow on that black apron would look really good. Even if I didn't do like the sunshine yellow, if I did that yellow, like the golden yellow, I think that's a great idea. Which means probably not this. I like this though, I think. I think I like that one best. Alright. And this is going to be where my armholes go. And I need to leave a little bit for her shoulder. I'm going to need about an inch or so for turn under and all of that. I need here, and it does say the rest of her body, which is from that to this. You like my very precise way of measuring? Isn't this wonderful? Alright, so that's my armholes. And you did see me cut sleeves. We are going to add sleeves. Merely because most of the originals I see have sleeves. And sometimes those instruction books aren't necessarily what people did. They're great. Oh, here's how you can do it. But when you look at originals, you see that's not what people did. It's not the practical application of it. But I'm going to go right ahead and sew the sleeves first. These sleeves look so long. I measured them 3 times though, and I even measured them against the doll. They just look really long. Maybe I just didn't make them wide enough. I don't know. Let me make sure that I have a right and a left sleeve. That would be super helpful. And it does not say to leave a slit or anything, which this is so big that once we put the drawstring in, it's going to fit right over her head. There shouldn't need to be any slit or anything. We're just going to sew the whole thing. Now the original says to use lace. I don't have any lace I'm willing to sacrifice. This is the imitation lace. So I think we might put a little bit of the ribbon here at the waist and then at the neckline. And then we're going to also hem the sleeves with the ribbon. That's going to give her some nice bright colors. Alright, we are here next to Wilma, and yes, Wilma is the mid-1870s machine, and we're making a mid to late 1860s dress. My mid-1860s machine is covered in rust, like we found her, and she has still not been fixed. She has still not been fixed. That machine gives off the same stitches as Wilma, so even though Wilma is later and therefore still not correct, the stitch will be right. And I mean, the lock stitch would be correct too, but Wilma's more fun. So all the way down from top to bottom. So because Wilma does not have a bobbin, as we've discussed on the channel before, you can't just leave her thread just hanging. It will take itself apart. So now I'm going to go right ahead and sew this sleeve. Having issues with my thread. Thread spools, these are the only thread spools I use because they're cheapest for the amount of thread that you get, and they're 100% cotton. Whereas most of the stuff you find on the plastic spools is usually a poly cotton. I also like these because they have a non-plastic spool itself, so it's a little bit more environmentally friendly. But they're too big to fit onto here. Right side out, and we're going to go ahead and put in sleeves onto the bodice. Now I did find that the slit I made on the bodice was too big for the little arm's eye that I have here. So instead of recutting a new sleeve and making the arm's eye bigger, I just stitched up the hole and made a smaller hole. And because it's such a tiny little hole now, I'm finding it much easier to do the sleeve stitching by hand as opposed to machine. I do like this book that we're following because it's very simple instructions. Sometimes I tend to make my doll clothes like little miniature versions of adult dresses, and this is just so much easier. But you would never see an adult dress made like this. This is specifically for a doll. There's a good chance that gray thread was not the best choice for this. Very nearly done. I do need to figure out a dull needle situation so I can get a tie. I think I'm going to use this as a tie since I have a little bit extra left over. It's going to look good on here to tie in this neckline. I'm going to cut the ends of the sash on the bias, that way they don't fray. And that is essentially our very simple dress. Let's start with the apron before we put it on the doll. So I created this pattern. It looks like a pocket. You asked about how long I want it to be, and I measured where her waist ends, and then I added about twice as much so I can really gather it in. And that's all I did. We are following a Peterson's magazine illustration for a doll's apron. It's not a pattern per se. It didn't have pattern pieces, from at least not the page I saw. It was more of a, here's a new style of doll aprons. And so we're going to kind of follow that. At least this, I am so sorry. He has an automatic feeder. It is going to go off in like 10 minutes, but he gets very upset when he thinks his food is late, even though it's not late. And so he comes to complain to me about it. So we might just have to deal with the cat screaming in the background for right now. I'm sorry. Where was I? Peterson's, it's late 1860s. It just had the illustration of the doll's apron, and then also an illustration for a doll's cloak. And it was a picture of the dress and the apron, and they have some really pretty designs and, decorative bits on them, which we are not going to get to copy because that looks off. Why does this look off? We're not going to get to it is off. How did that get off? Which we are not going to get to copy because at least on the apron, I believe, the designs were created by waved braid, which is the 19th century version of rickrack. The only thing is rickrack tends to be very angular. I mean it is waved, but it's very angular, whereas period waved braid tends to be very serpentine, and it also comes in sizes that we can't get rickrack in. We are not going to be able to use that for this project. What we are going to do again is this. Gather it and put it on, but I think we're going to put it on straight. It's not going to take those curves very well straight, unfortunately. We might have to pleat that in. I'm gonna head over to the ironing board, make sure it's all ironed out as soon as my iron heats up. So I'm gonna try to do the same thing that we did with the top of the dress, which is to fold it under twice, because it looks like this is gonna ravel. So I'm gonna do it twice. And I'm gonna put the ribbon over top and sew it on all at once. I made little cute little tiny pockets so that the apron can have pockets too. I'm gonna keep the gray thread in there to sew on all the yellow, because I think it's gonna match the yellow the best. And then after that we will make the decision. And I'll try to get all that done before I move to black thread. This is one of the shoulder straps. So that helps a lot. That helped a lot. We will continue doing that. Alright, we're about ready to work on the black thread, but someone decided he needed more attention. He already got fed, and he's decided that pets are in order. We're going to sew the pockets onto the apron first. Now you leave the cat alone. Now I have the strings with the little bretelles or shoulder straps, and I'm going to stitch that on with the black thread. I need the doll to measure how to do the back, or where to do the back ones. So I need to sew them on there as well. Alright, sew in the back one. Yeah, I think that looks good. Oh, yeah, that'll look like it just kind of continues. Oh, I like that. Here, I'll show you just a second. I know my finger's in the way. But basically, it looks like this continues through there. Stick this in the machine and let it do its thing. Awesome. Alright, I have a little bit of handwork to do because I got to make sure that both those ends are fully woven in. But that's it. We can go ahead and put this on a doll. So let's try first to put on the dress. It should be a very simple dress to put on because there's not much here. Very unflattering. See if the belt helps any. I think I made the shoulders too wide so that the sleeves are a bit too long, but it's not a big deal. Alright, that helps a lot. It does look a lot better. But yeah, her sleeves should have gone up about another ½ inch. Next time I'll know. There's from the back what we're dealing with. It looks fine. So I can set her down like that. And that actually looks really cute. I am very proud of this apron. It's not perfect at all, but it actually looks a lot nicer than I kind of expected it to. It wasn't for a while. Until I put the whole thing together, I wasn't really excited about it. But we can put, I guess the sleeves aren't too terribly long. Only about ½ inch or so. And there we go. So the next month we'll make a wool dress and some other accessory. I have not quite decided which accessory we're going to do, but we're a little bit behind because we missed a month. And I still want to make sure that we get everything done that we want to get done. So I'm going to just make an accessory and a dress for the next couple months. So she has some changes of clothes and also some changes of accessories. I think it'd be really adorable to get a tiny little square of handkerchief and like have it out of the pocket. That would just be adorable. Don't know if we'll do that, but I think it would be cute. I think that's about it for this month. Again, next month we'll be making another dress and a unspecified accessory of some kind. If you've enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe to the channel. Click that little bell notification so you're notified anytime I upload a new video. And as always, have a fantastic week, and I'll see you back here in the next video.